Welcome to the January 2025 energy reading. My name is Melanie Santos. I am so happy to have you here yet again. If this is your first time here, welcome. I am a sacred artist who focuses on the mind, body, spirit connection and who we are as sacred beings in human bodies, and all about the human experience and how we can make it the best that we possibly can, both individually and collectively. This is our first energy reading of the year. I'm going to light some incense as I always do. I am so honored to have provided so many of these readings last year on my YouTube channel, and that it's apparently helped so many of you with navigating the energy of what it is to live on planet Earth right now, which is a lot. I don't know if y'all are hearing how windy it is outside right now. I really hope that the mic doesn't catch any of the wind, but if you do, I am so sorry. It is winter. We are wintering on the east, on the northern hemisphere right now. I'm on the East Coast. I'm in New York City, and it is just brick, how we say. It's cold. It's very windy. And it's just a reminder that we really need to be inside right now. This is not a time for us to let's get the year started. No, as energetic beings first, we are meant to flow with the seasons. And so winter is a time of, again, wintering, of nesting, of reflecting and integrating the lessons of the past year. With all of that, let's kick off this video talking about the energy of 2025. I think that's really important for us to talk about first before we even get into the energy of January. So let's talk about the energy of 2025 and what we should be focusing on this year. Now let's get into a little bit of numerology here. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I love all sorts of cosmologies and all sorts of ancient studies, and I try to apply them in the modern world because we carry that medicine within us. And I think we can use different cosmologies and different understandings, different sciences to truly make our approach to life that much more intentional. So let's get into a little bit of numerology real quick. So like astrology, which many of you are familiar with, numerology is an ancient study that can help us best understand ourselves and the earth based on numbers, because each number vibrates a different frequency, the same way that we are energetic beings who are also vibrating different frequencies at different times. If you add up all the numbers of 2025, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, it's going to give us the number 9. And so this year is a universal 9 year. Last year was a universal 8 year. The year before that was a universal 7 year, and so on and so forth. And so every year vibrates a different frequency, denoting the sort of energy that the year is going to offer us, and also the opportunities that the year is going to offer us to live and grow and evolve as a people, but also individually. And at the end of this, I'm going to tell you how you can calculate your personal number year as well. I also want to mention that I'm going to break down all of this on my Instagram channel. So if you don't follow me on Instagram already, please follow me there. I'm going to break down everything back from 2023 into now, offering some journal and reflection prompts and some tools that we can use to really show up in 2025 intentionally. So with 2025 being a 9 year, there are several themes that I think are going to be especially important. But overall, 9 vibrates the frequency of closure and of endings, because it is technically the last single digit number. 2026 is going to be a 1 year, and we're basically restarting these cycles all over again. And so this 9 year is going to really give us the opportunity to receive closure and to end things. Just like a snake sheds its skin, we are going to really get the opportunity to shed certain identities, shed certain, I was going to say limiting beliefs, but really just beliefs, period. Maybe there are things that we used to really, really believe in terms of ourselves and our lives and our relationships and connections, and we're just not meant to take forward anymore, and that's okay. And so 9 really being this and living and vibrating in this energy of closure, endings, completion, and things coming to not necessarily a hard stop, but an organic end. Also, I mentioned the snake, as a snake sheds its skin, we're meant to shed, yada, yada, yada. 2025 is also the year of the wood snake. Shout out to all my snake babies. I was born in 1989, so I am also born in the year of the snake. But come January 29th, we celebrate the Lunar New Year, and it's also the year of the snake, so something to take note of. Now, some other themes that are really, really important in 2025 that really, it's the only way that we're going to be able to receive closure and like really honor this completion and these organic endings is if these other themes come through. The first one being reflection and integration. It's really, really, really important for us to take the time to sit and reflect on the last 8 years and to understand what happened and what their purpose was in our overall evolution. Another is surrender and trust. Like, it's not enough to know that, like, yes, these very hard things or these wonderful things or these things happened for me through these last 8 years in 2023 and 2024. What's going to be really, really important is that we truly surrender and trust. This is something that I'm going to be continuously talking about in 2025. I had already planned this for months and months and months, that 2025 was going to be a year where I talked about surrender and trust. So look out for some really beautiful art that I'm creating about that very, very soon. But surrender and trust, being able to make peace with the messiness, being able to make peace with I'm glitching, what your life has been in the last 8 years and how you got to this point, whether this is a point that you wanted to be in or not. Being able to surrender and trust that you're exactly where you need to be in order to continue to evolve and shift in 2025 into the greatest and highest version of yourself, into the greatest and highest string in the tapestry of life. And the last one is spiritual awakening and evolution. Yes, I know you hear this and we hear this a lot, but it is true. You know, if 2024, which was an 8 year, everybody talked about 2024 being this year of abundance and everybody being able to make so much money, and I love if that happened for you. But overall, and I've been saying this since January of 2024, 2024 was not only about amassing abundance, but more so about understanding what abundance really means in our life, individually and collectively. And I think we all can see this very clearly, that we received so many opportunities for us to see the power imbalances. Okay, 8 vibrates this energy of power and abundance. And, you know, again, it wasn't about like getting more power, but understanding how we cultivate power and how to use it. That's not a siren, that's a horn. I don't know if you can hear it. And it's just like, So if 2024 was about learning about the power imbalances, learning how power is cultivated, and learning how to use it authentically, and learning how to use power, create power, and hold power sustainably for the highest and greatest good of all, 2025 is going to be about how we utilize that wisdom moving forward to finally close off those chapters, complete these cycles, so we can move into 2026, which is a 1 year, vibrating this energy of new beginnings and freshness, so that everything flows how it should be. I hope this is making sense. I absolutely love talking about this, and I love the study of numbers and obviously energy, because it's what I do for a living. But it's really so important for us to understand our roles as a collective, our roles as a people, because they very much inform our roles as individuals in this life. And it also helps us integrate and make more intentional choices, again, both in our individual lives, in whatever is going on in our individual lives, and also in our collective. That means voting. That means how we move, how we shop, how we advocate for ourselves as a people, the businesses that we support, the politicians that we support, literally everything, anything that affects the way that we live on earth. All this is integrated in here, and I absolutely really hope, I love it, and I absolutely really, really hope that the majority of us are not just stuck in the like, oh, 2024, 2025, let me set my New Year intentions and let me do the workbooks. And I do have a workbook, and I am going to plug it a million times in this video because it's so amazing and it's really, really helpful, and also has a section where we talk about collective liberation in there. Ow. But I hope we are also thinking about manifesting as a collective. We can't manifest as a collective and move forward into liberation and freedom and harmony and love if we don't focus on the energies at hand. So in short, if 2024 was a test of power, 2025 is a test of wisdom. How are you going to use what you've learned moving forward? How are you going to show up in the wisdom and the medicine that you naturally have? Because you have that in this year. How are you going to release and surrender and trust and also say yes to what is pulling you forward? Because it's natural. With natural closings and endings, I know that even those words are sparking up triggers in your mind, body, and spirit right now. Don't be afraid, okay? This is, some of it might be uncomfortable. Some of it might feel like a breath of fresh air and exactly what you didn't know that you needed. And I'm telling you this as somebody who, again, I wouldn't be able to do this work if I don't experience this along with you. And if I didn't experience it first. My 2024 was my year of completions and endings. Okay, and now I'm able to teach about it in 2025 and hold us all. Oh, there we go. Big, big sirens. Hope that's affirming that I'm holding you. If you're new here, I live in New York City, where we always say that the sirens are like divinely positioned to support our statements and to support and sort of affirm what we're talking about here. And so, again, I wouldn't be able to hold us through this and support us as a people and individually as well, because I do have individual offerings like my alignment sessions, if I didn't go through these things too, and if I didn't go through them first. And so 2024 being my personal year of endings and completions, I wouldn't be able to talk about this the way that I do. And so I want us to all really, in 2025, move forward with all of this just in our hearts. I hope that what I'm sharing right now starts to plant a seed in all of us that helps us let go of ego-driven pursuits of power, that helps us move forward with surrender and trust and love, and that helps us see with spiritual clarity and not just with human expectation. Now, before we get into the energy of January, I do want to, looking at my notes, mention how all of this is cosmically supported as well. I'm not just like talking out of my numerological booty. Like, this is cosmically supported as well. This year, we are seeing the lunar nodes enter Virgo and Pisces. So if you don't understand what the lunar nodes is, first of all, I plug this in every single video, but I have a free masterclass on the planets and planetary energy and how you can flow with the sun and the moon, which is so important because you are an energetic being that have the sun and the moon energy within you. Please go watch it. If you haven't watched it, why? Why haven't you watched it? Just beyond me. The lunar nodes are 2 points in space where the sun, the moon, and earth intersect. Okay, and every like 18 months, they switch signs, giving us the opportunity to switch the energy with which we are meant to learn and integrate, which is represented by the North Node, and what we're meant to release and move forward from, represented by the South Node, okay? As of January 11th, those nodes are going to be shifting. The North Node is going to shift into dreamy Pisces, dreamy, ethereal Pisces, and the South Node, again, representing what we're meant to release and let go, is going to be in meticulous Virgo. And so this like nodal shift is emphasizing the balance between intuition with Pisces and practicality, Virgo. Okay, this is going to influence our eclipses. All of our eclipses are going to be, with the exception of one, we're going to have one final eclipse in Aries, fire energy, on March 29th. But all of the eclipses are going to be in Pisces and Virgo. And this is a big, big, big deal because eclipses come around to really shake shit up. Like eclipses are huge page turners in our life and come to kind of like scramble things so they can be kind of like for us it feels scrambled, but things sort of end up being exactly where they need to be. So just something to take notice of. We're also experiencing this year Neptune entering Aries. Neptune is the sign of illusions, the planet of illusions, imagination and spirituality. And Aries is this fire sign of initiation and action. And so we are, again, in 2025, this is initiating a shift towards more visionary leadership and pioneering our spiritual pursuits. So it's kind of like putting the pedal to the metal based on where we are spiritually grounded. And so the warning here is that we need to really make sure that our actions are grounded in higher consciousness and that they're grounded in like what's for the betterment of all and not just for the ego-driven pursuits. So if you're still in the mindset of 2024, 8 year is all about abundance, making money, and I understand how crazy economics have been and money and making money and jobs, and I understand it. Trust me, I feel it too. 100%. I get it. But we cannot continue to try to make money or spend money in egotistical ways because it's going to backfire on us individually and it's going to majorly backfire on us collectively. We're also experiencing Saturn, the granddaddy of structure, stability, responsibility, shift into Aries. Okay, which again, Aries is this fire sign of boldness and action. This is going to emphasize self-discipline, personal responsibility, and the restructuring of your identity and your ambitions when we take action. Again, grounded action is going to be very, very, very important here. Also, Jupiter entering Cancer, which I'm so excited about. Jupiter has been in Gemini for a while now, and it's going to, on June 9th, shift into Cancer. I'm excited about this because I am both a Gemini and a Cancer. I'm a Gemini sun, Cancer moon, Cancer rising, and so this is a once in 12 year occurrence. Like these are big time movements. This is the only reason why I'm mentioning this, because y'all know I always say I'm not an astrologer. I have amazing friends who are astrologers and I would love to bring them to the channel one day so we could talk about the stars. But I need to talk about this because this very, 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 very much affects us as a collective, right? This is a once in 12 year shift. Jupiter, this planet of abundance and expansion, going into Cancer. Cancer, the sign of nurturing and empathy and compassion. Some sirens happening. This is going to magnify, big sirens. This is going to magnify Cancer's energy for us come June 9th. This is June 9th of 2025 until June 30th of 2026, okay? This is going to magnify Cancer energy, bringing opportunities for emotional growth, family and inner child healing, and nurturing our inner world, as well as living and acting less from the mind and more from the heart. Okay, so this is really important because all I keep mentioning is like, this is a year of completion. This is a year of surrender and trust, grounded action, making sure that we're actually taking action. We're not just like all spiritual and all like praying for the best. No, no, baby. We need you to act. We need you to make small decisions that are going to amount to great impact. Okay, and that's going to all be grounded in the heart, and that's going to be so supported by Jupiter. And lastly, we have Uranus, another big daddy, entering Gemini. Uranus is the unpredictable planet of upheaval, okay, in the best ways. Uranus is like that friend who comes to kidnap you and have an intervention because you've forgotten who you are. That's how I see Uranus. And then it's going into the sign of Gemini, which is a sign of communication and like dual mental energy, okay? This is talking about innovation and communication of all kinds, not just technology, but also thought processes, mindsets. Okay, this is encouraging adaptability and the embracing of new ideas. Again, this is talking about if we remain grounded through it all, it's going to be easier to flow this energy towards collective revolution for the highest and greatest good of all, because this is going to be affecting media and technology again and social media and all these things. Guys, this is a big deal. Like, I have my favorite astrologers and scientists and energy workers and people, and everybody's just been talking about how this is such a monumental year. And so as we talk about the energy of January, which I do want to get into, what are the main themes before we get into this quick reading? I feel like the actual card reading is going to be fast. I really think it's going to be meant to support what we're talking about here. we really got to keep it into account, okay? Because as of December 21st, I've been saying this for a very long time, many, many years, but we start the end of the energetic year. Come March, come the spring equinox, which is usually around like March 21st, 22nd, we start the true energetic new year. That's when we're really meant to press go on all the projects and the things that we are setting intentions for now. And so do not rush. This is one of my first reminders for the energy of January. Sirens, I hear you. Getting into the themes and the important energy of January. One of them is, and I want to start off with the reminder that you don't need to rush. You have time. You have time. This is the time for you to be reflecting and integrating. Reflecting and integrating. I'm just looking at my notes that I took on my phone. Since we're in this space of wintering and reflecting and integrating, what just happened in 2024, and how do we really want to be rounding out the energetic new year? The energetic year, excuse me. How do we want to be rounding out? What kinds of activities and practices have we learned are necessary for us? What do we need to pick up on? What have we sort of dropped the ball on that we need to pick up on before we end the year so we can end on the right foot? So slow down. You have time. Make sure you are getting enough rest. This is something that has come up for me personally. Like, you need to be sleeping better. I wear an Aura ring and it's like been slaying me lately. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. We need to be resting. We need to be resting and really, and I keep mentioning rest because without rest, we aren't properly resetting our bodies in order to receive the energy, medicine, and the downloads that we want to get, right? Moving forward, that we want to get so that we are spiritually clear, our aura is clear and bright, and we know what's going on, that our intuition is working. Baby, if you're not sleeping, if you're not eating properly, that is not going to happen. You need to be supporting your body. And so supporting your body, because a lot of the energy that's going to be happening in January is very, very emotional. January feels like, and not only feels like, this is coming from me intuitively, but I also looked at the cosmic transits that are going to be happening in January. I don't want to talk about them. I want to just give you the themes. So this is like integrating all the medicine so that you understand the main themes. And I think I'm going to do that moving forward in future readings. Main themes of January based on what I have downloaded, the conversations that I've had with my spirit guides and other celestial beings, and also the energy of the cosmos. Number one, emotional healing and reflection. Okay, this is going to be a time where old wounds might be resurfacing, because we are meant to look at them. We're not meant to just be like, no, I don't want to look at that because I left that in 2024. No. If it's coming up because you're meant to reassess the situation, maybe how you handled it, and how you want to handle situations like that moving forward. You're meant to reassess your boundaries, and you're also meant to reassess how you care for yourselves and others. So any type of hurt or discomfort that comes up around this time is meant for you to look at. Theme number 2 is strategic planning and grounded action. This is where the grounded action starts, by the seeds that we plant now. This is a wonderful time to create new routines, or at least start planning them. Y'all know, if you know me, I love technology. I really do. I love a gadget. I love a new tool. I love working with AI to plan things. I'm not a planner whatsoever. I like piecing things together though, and I like working with technology to do that in a really easy and efficient way. And so something that I've been doing is, or that I've done in the last week, is take some of the questions from my Visions Unbound Workbook, which is available on my website now. The digital version is on sale, which I totally recommend, because then you'll just have a digital copy forever. But if you want a more powerful experience, buy the paperback on Amazon, because you'll get to be putting pen to paper, writing it down, feeling the sheets, sitting with it, having a whole experience, whatever. I'm taking some of the topics and themes that we talked about in the workbook to help me plan out a schedule for every day of the week, so that I'm able to live through the month sustainably. I'm also taking into account my energetic signature. I am a Cancer rising, and so being a Cancer rising, I am ruled by the moon. And so I am most recently planning my life according to the moon. If the moon is in a certain sign, I know I need to either chill or do this or do that or see people, like just depending on that. Instead of just like waking up and being like, oh, I actually feel like shit today and I have 7,000 things on my schedule. Why would I need to do that if I know? I pay attention to the energetic forecasts, videos like this, reading horoscopes, paying attention to astrologers, so on and so forth. Plan ahead. So I've been planning ahead, and I really, really encourage you to plan ahead just based on what it is that you want to do. I'm planning ahead because I want to prioritize rest this year. I want to prioritize doing less. I hear you. Big sounds coming from outside. That's my guys. Like, you're saying this out loud. I hope you hold yourself accountable. Yes, I hope y'all hold me accountable too, because I really am looking forward to resting and doing less and doing what I do with more intention. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever big seeds, like oak tree, like there are like little cute flower seeds that we plant so they can sprout throughout the year. And then there are like the oak trees. Like, what are the big goals? What are the big accomplishments that we want to see bloom and blossom throughout the year? Those are the things that you should be strategizing about in January. Really, really working with the energy of this month because it is going to be supporting our long-term vision. So I'm talking about, think about what you're going to be doing in the spring, in the summer, in the winter. Break it up in quarters, break it up in months if you want to. Whatever works for you works for you. But this is a really great time for planning goals, setting intentions, and reassessing. Again, reassessing your priorities with a really practical mindset. Again, the nodes are shifting. So you get to dream with Pisces and you get to get practical with Virgo. It is the perfect recipe. We have so many perfect cosmic recipes this year. And the last theme for January that I want to get into, because we've been yapping for a minute, is opening up to change and surrendering to what discomfort is telling you. I know I said the word discomfort, and I don't want you to shut yourself off immediately. Discomfort is such a teacher. If you have a bad relationship with discomfort and with pain, this is going to be a really good time, a really good month to reassess why, and to allow yourself to reformat your relationship with discomfort and rejudge it and like get to meet discomfort with different eyes, with more wise eyes. You have a lot of wisdom that you've carried on from 2023, 2024 into 2025. And so taking a look at what discomfort means for you, because discomfort is going to come through this month to really not necessarily teach us a lesson, but push us to surrender a little bit more. Okay, we're going to be encouraged to look at what is naturally ending or starting to end, because again, 9-year 2025 is going to be that year where things are going to naturally end, which is really beautiful if you think about it. We spent the last 8 years planting the seeds in 2017, 2018, 2019. If you even think about where you were back in 2017, 2018, we're like back to where we were now, but with such different eyes and different bodies and minds and wisdom. Even thinking about our president, who was being inaugurated January of 2017. It's like, it's real. And who's going to be inaugurated now? Hopefully not. I still have hope. But we're literally like, cycles are real, y'all. Cycles are really, really real. And so taking a look at where you were 8 years ago and what each year meant for you. What did you learn in each year? And what are you taking? How are you taking all that wisdom into 2025 with you now to finally like complete all these cycles, to wrap them up in a beautiful bow and say thank you? That's actually a really, really beautiful ritual. Wrap it up with gratitude and send it off in 2025. Beautiful. So with that, let's get into the reading, shall we? Our first card is always going to come from the Goddess Guidance Oracle deck because I have a special relationship with this deck. As always, every single deck that I use in these readings is going to be linked in the description box. I just dropped the box. In the description box below for your own practice, which I would say is pretty important. If you feel the call to use something like an Oracle deck, heed that call and check out some of the decks that I have listed below. Okay, just like that, we have some cards that jumped out of the deck. I don't know where the Disney princess in me is out today. One of them came up upside down, which just means emphasis. And it's really interesting because we've gotten this card a couple times before. The first one that came up upside down is the Goddess Rhiannon, Sorceress. I believe we got this last month, if not the month before that. The Goddess Rhiannon, Sorceress, just reminding us that we have power. We have natural magic. We have power and natural magic. We don't have to be worried. We don't have to be scared. We've been given the tools that every single year has been leading us up to this moment. Okay. And the second card, as if Sorceress wasn't enough, is the Goddess Dana, High Priestess. High Priestess has been reverberating in my life, not only just for me, but for the collective for about a couple weeks now. And I've been seeing this coming. And this is just such a reminder that, again, you have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teaching. So first we have to remember that we not only have the magic, but that we are the magic. First, there is remembering that needs to take place. And then there is the grounded action. High Priestess acts and shows up and models conscious behavior and models nutrition of the mind, body, and spirit, models a high life, and not like stush high, like I'm better than you. There's a High Priestess in every single body, male, female, non-binary, doesn't matter. We all have all energies integrated within, and there's a High Priestess within all of us. There's a mother, a father in all of us. And so we cannot be here if we don't first remember. And so this is the energy that's coming up for January, which I just mentioned in my themes. Again, emotional healing, reflection, reintegration coming in this month, and strategic planning and grounded action. Both reminders that are coming up this month. I'm getting a reminder for y'all to really write down. I think what's coming up is that there are many people who have amazing ideas and amazing visions for things. And the reason why they don't act on them is because they sometimes don't remember. And this is I like to talk about this with friends. We're in the age of ADHD. I think it's natural. And this is not to put any disrespect. As a neurodiverse person, I get it. But I think we're in the age of short attention spans and fast mental action, especially with Jupiter and Gemini right now. Gemini is this communication and Jupiter is expansion, and it's crazy. And so the reminder is write things down. Write things down. Write your goals down, write your intentions down. It doesn't matter if it's digitally or on a notebook. I'm seeing notebooks though. I'm seeing workbooks. I'm seeing just pen to paper, getting back to basics, which is another theme that's generally come up a lot about 2025, being able to come back to basics, because 2026 we're going to have to start over. And so we're going to have to sort of get accustomed with that beginner's mind, starting over energy. And so write things down. Write things down. Journaling is coming up as a way to write things down, especially as it relates to processing emotional energy. We're not going to be able to just sit and think, because that produces overthinking. And I know many of us struggle with overthinking, sometimes myself included. I have the tools that I've acquired thus far to deal with that. And so take a look at and honor the tools that you've acquired thus far, and also be open to the tools that are showing up for you now that are going to help you both remember and show up as this High Priestess energy in your life. Let me sit with this for a moment and make sure that we got all the juice out. Still sirens, but the last thing that's coming up, especially with this Goddess Rhiannon Sorceress card, is that just because 2025 is coming through with the energy of closure and completion and endings, doesn't mean that there aren't simultaneous new beginnings happening, and doesn't mean that you can't start something this year. There are some of you who are meant to put things into action that are so incredibly necessary for the collective that even if you only have a certain amount of, I want to say it's clients or buyers or people that like a little amount of like people that you work with or that connect with your offering, whatever it is, that it's going to go on to affect the energy in great ways. Because it's just going to cause this amazing ripple effect. And I'm not getting exactly what it is or who it is. That would be absolutely insane because this video is for all of us. But if there is something that is like, tap in with yourself. Oh my God, more sirens. If there is something, an offering that you have been thinking about and burning with. I'm not just talking about like, oh, it'd be cute. Like, no, you know. If you're watching this and you are listening to me right now and you're like, oh my God, this is about me. It is about you. If there's something that you are like, oh my God, this is burning a hole in me and I need to birth this into reality, please do it this year. Please do it this year. And I want to say that it's going to be especially helpful for those of you who have these like big projects or that are artists of life in this way, to work with an expert, an astrologer, an energy reader, somebody that's going to help you plan exactly when to initiate, because that's going to be extra helpful. It's not that it's not going to be successful. Success is subjective, but it's going to help the process be a lot smoother. So that's so exciting. Sorceress and High Priestess. Let's jump into the next card for January 2025, coming from the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. And let's see what the second message is for January. Okay. Beautiful. We had a card jump out of the deck, and I just took a glance, and I'm already like, whew, so much information. It is Inner Temple, devotion, tune into the portal of your heart. Oh gosh, tune into the portal of your heart. So initially what's coming through is like, this is only going to be able to happen, right? Our remembering and our being able to show up with grounded action if we take care of ourselves. So this is definitely a self-care card, okay? This is definitely a self-care card. It is reminding us to tap into our needs and to advocate for our needs. Tap into your needs. Your heart needs you, especially. I think as a collective, it's calling on us to really care for our collective heart and our collective nervous system. This is a term that I learned in December as I was working with my sacred artist group that I go see every few months at the Kripalu Center for Meditation, who I adore. And we brought up this term of like the collective nervous system, that we all have this beautiful collective nervous system. And while some of us may be fried and may be crashing out, right, there are some of us in the collective that may be able to support the other just by existing, and just by taking care of ourselves, we'll be able to support and be supported. Love that. We'll talk more about that in the future as I learn more about it, because it's just mind-blowingly beautiful to me. But Inner Temple, devotion, okay, this is about practice. This card is about practice, and I didn't talk about it with the energy of 2025, but this is something that's going to be increasingly important this year, is cultivating practice. Like, what are the practices that feel supportive and that fuel you, that really refuel your cup in all ways, not just like, oh, I went out clubbing one day and like my inner child feels fueled. No, like really supports your mind, body, and spirit. And how will you be and how can you be devoted to practice, mental, spiritual, physical practice every single day? I know that seems daunting. Trust me, even for me, it is daunting sometimes, as somebody who has a full-time job and a business that she runs and a mother, and you know, I live in this busy city and I got to take care of the household, and I also care for family members, and there's just so much. Sometimes even making time for my practices is a big deal, and which is crazy because I talk about practice for a living. Something that really works for me is to have like a menu of different types of like days that I can have. Because we really don't know what's going to spring up for us. Like, I planned to film this video yesterday, And it didn't happen that way because I had some health things going on. And so I had to reorganize my week so I could move this to today. And yesterday, I got to rest and pull out one of the menus from my portfolio of practices so I can practice rest instead of practicing work in this way, or just scrambling things up as my mind, body, and spirit need it to be. Now, I have the privilege that I work for myself, and so I'm able to move things around more easily. If you work a 9 to 5, this is still possible for you. This is a practice that I've been doing for a long time. I worked corporate and quit my job in 2018. I used to do this then too, where I would wake up at a certain time and make sure I got some time for myself and or got time with myself for my personal practices when I got home, even with a kid, even with a husband, even with a business that I was running simultaneously while working 9 to 5. It is possible, but you have to strategize. This is again where the strategizing comes in for January, because you need time for devotion. There's no way that we are going to be able to take advantage of and cultivate new power, new love, and ideas, and all these beautiful things and energy, more sirens that we were talking about for 2025. God, I wonder if something's happening. There ain't nothing happening. I check Citizen. There ain't nothing happening. There is no way that we will be able to do the things that we're meant to do with this year, right? That this is going to be a year of comfortable completion, because we really don't have to be uncomfortable. The discomfort will come. It doesn't mean that we have to be uncomfortable, though. We have to work with the discomfort when it shows up, but it doesn't mean that we have to sit in the discomfort because we didn't do anything to help ourselves. Like, you can make, and you're meant to make your experience pleasurable. That's what we're here for. That's why I do these readings. How can we make life more pleasurable for ourselves? We're supposed to feel pleasure. It's what we're here for. We're supposed to make this harmonious and beautiful and gorgeous and lovely and laugh and feel pleasure in every single way. And so that can only happen if we are devoted to our practice. And so in what ways can you be devoted to practice? And what does practice even mean to you right now in this day and age? At your age, with the tools that you've acquired, with the tools that you want to acquire, what does practice even mean to you? And how can you integrate that daily, weekly, monthly? What does that mean in mind, body, and spirit? Okay, being devoted to practice is going to allow you to show up. It's going to allow you to integrate so that the magic can be fully moved and stirred so that you can show up as a high priestess, not only in your life, in your waking life, but in the collective, and show up with the energy that the world needs you to show up with. Ooh, beautiful. Let's see what's coming up for our third message. We're going to work with the Archangel Michael Sword of Light Oracle deck. I don't always use this deck, but it's giving me the vibes that we need, and I kind of just like pulled intuitively from my decks, and this one came through. So let's see. Third message for January 2025. Ooh. Okay. So this deck, all my decks have like a temperament and like an attitude and an energy, and this is like my more like tame and beautiful and I got you protection. This card is fierce, baby. It's the have no fear card. Have no fear, which is something I've been repeating here and there this reading. Have no fear. Because a lot of what we're talking about could be triggering. Talking about completions and endings, which could bring about a lot of grief. Not everybody has a great relationship with grief. I'm still cultivating an okay relationship with grief. But having no fear, which I do want to say, it's impossible to have no fear at all. I think as human beings, some fear is healthy. I think some fear is necessary in our foundation to act as a catalyst, right? We can transform the fear into something else. Like, we can use the fear as fuel. If we're truly tapped in, if we are devoted to our practice, that's inner wisdom, and we can transform and alchemize that fear in many different ways, just depending on who we are, what we've lived through, the tools that we have, the wisdom that we have, so that we can show up as we're really meant to show up. But that can only happen if we stop siding with the fear and we side with our spirit. I do want to bring in, and I totally forgot to mention this, and it's coming back to me now, that I sat with one of my beloved spirit guides right before I sat and recorded this reading, and I asked her, I took all my notes and wrote things down, cosmic energy, da 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 da, for 2025. Is there anything that you want me to mention? It's coming up now as like the perfect reminder. This is for 2025, but especially for January. Is there anything that you want me to mention that I'm forgetting to mention, or something that I just haven't come across? And I want to say it in the way that she shared it with me. She said that this year is going to be one where we get closer and closer to pure love. That every year since the 2000s, early 2000s, have brought us closer and closer and closer to authenticity, to clarity, and to love. We've gotten closer and closer to pure love. And so it's going to be very important for us to side with our spirit and to side with our soul, our spiritual self, our energy, our energetic self within, versus our human emotions, our human body, our triggers, our expectations, and our ego. Because if we side with, or we fully only see through the lens of our human selves, we're going to be perpetually disappointed. Because in order to move through a 9 year of completion and closure and spiritual surrender and trust, we need to be grounded in, have really, really strong spiritual foundations, which happens because we have a devoted practice, right? Whatever that is for you is fine. But if we don't do any of these things, if we don't side with our spirit first, side with the divine, and stay rooted in our divinity, in our infinity, then we're just going to be perpetually disappointed, because our ego expects and wants to keep us safe. And a lot of the movements that we're going to that we're meant to make this year, and that we're going to be starting to conceptualize this month in January, are really scary. And so I'm so glad that came back to me. And thank you so much to that spirit guide, who I adore, who I've been working with for the past 5-6 years already, who shared this with me, because it totally aligns with this card of have no fear. The card says, fear is a trap of the ego. Allow me to use my sword of light to free you from disquieting feelings holding you back. Fear and siding with the fear. I want to say that. Siding with the fear only holds us back. Only holds us back in what we have to be afraid of, versus how can we use this fear to move forward. Fear can be healthy. And I mentioned earlier, doing what we can to cultivate a new relationship with discomfort. Let's throw fear in there too. What can we do to cultivate a new relationship with fear? I share all that to say that it's doable. It's doable, okay? This card coming up this month. Also, all these messages coming up for January doesn't mean that it has to happen in January. It just means that we are going to receive opportunities to do these things now. And that if we really pay attention and we really are intentional about how we live, that we'll be able to seize those opportunities to move forward with clarity, and to do these things with the spiritual grounding that we need to do them purely. You know what I mean? We're told to have no fear and cultivate a devoted practice and show up as the sorceress and the high priestess that we all have within us, right? This magician, this inner magician that we all have within us. But if we aren't focused and intentional, and we don't believe that we can do these things, the road is going to be really crackly and really fragmented. But if we know that this is the energy that's supporting us in January, which we spoke about already, and that we can do it now, and if we truly devote ourselves in our daily practices to seeing life through these lenses, through the lenses that are being offered to us, through these messages, then we will see them. Same way as if you're like, okay, I want to see everything that's red today. And you leave your house, you're going to see so much red. And you're going to remember the things that you saw, because you're going to intentionally be looking out for it. Same way that if you walk out and you're like, I really want to be reminded how I'm a sorceress today, how I'm a sorcerer today. I want to be reminded of my inner magic today. You're going to encounter opportunities throughout your day when you have to show up as that magician, when you have to show up when your inner magic is pulled out of you, whether you like it or not. And so I hope that offers you some medicine as to how to cultivate a daily practice. One of the easiest ways is to ask questions. Show up for me. Show me how this is true. Show me how this is real. Show me how I am true and real. Show me how this medicine shows up within me. I'm gonna go take a walk. Show me. It's one of my favorite things to do, especially when I'm lacking in trust, especially when I'm lacking in faith, because yes, it happens to me too. Ta-da! Let's pull the last card for January 2025, coming from the Infinite Wisdom of the Chakras deck. Love this deck, one of my newer decks. Last message for January 2025. I feel like we got this card recently. But the final card, I love this so much because it kind of wraps everything up, is the goddess Aphrodite, fertility. Fertility. We got a lot of goddess energy. This is, I think, the first spread that we've ever done where all of the goddess, all of the cards, all of the characters in our cards are feminine. Our feminine creatures, our feminine beings, our goddesses. And so if that doesn't speak to the divine feminine energy that's pulsing through this month, which is not only the calm and the restful and the nurturing, but also the fierce. The fierce. And so the goddess Aphrodite, fertility, become attuned to the fertile ground within you. I absolutely love this final message. And this final reminder that in order to create really fertile and sustainable, grounded action, we have to create that within ourselves first. This is especially speaking to like the oak tree goals, the big goals and accomplishments that we want to see come to fruition in 2025. We got to make sure the little things, the things that we sometimes deem insignificant, are taken care of. That means, how are we nourishing ourselves in mind, body, and spirit? I know it seems insignificant, but in teaching so much about energy and about the aura, people are so fascinated when I start to really break down the importance of this and how much it is just the most important trickle effect in our entire existence. How we eat, not necessarily what we eat. Yes, what we eat. Yes. We know what a fresh fruit is. And there are so many amazing people who talk about how to eat well on a budget. Some of y'all are following me here. Shout yourselves out in the comments, please. Eat well. Make sure that we're incorporating our ancestral foods. Please shout yourselves out in the comments. There's too many of y'all. I'm saying that because people automatically think, oh, well, to eat whole, it has to be expensive. No. It's a myth. It's a lie that they tell us so that we can eat more processed foods, highly processed foods, and seed oils and all these things that are fast and quick and cheap, so that we get sicker, so that we need to buy more in the end. No. What we eat, but especially how we eat, is important. What we put in our mouth, what goes into our body, what we put in our minds through our eyes, what we put into our ears, into our minds from our ears, what we put into our bodies through our sexual organs, what comes inside of us, what we put in our aura through energetic contact, is of optimal importance, is of such incredible importance, especially when it comes to creativity, fertility. And I'm not just talking about being physically fertile, although this may be really big for some of you right now. I see 2025 being a year where all of us as a collective are going to get to clear out and sort of get energetically healthy again, so that we can birth a new reality in 2026. The new reality isn't going to happen now. I'm going to just say that right here. And let's fact check me at the end of 2025. The new reality isn't going to happen now. Shit is going to feel the same, if not worse. And it's because the majority of people have not learned their lesson and are still reassessing. We're still doing it now, again, are still reassessing power imbalances, how we cultivate, how we hold, how we create power, and don't yet know how to use that wisdom. And so 2025 is about figuring that out, reintegrating into this new energy and integrating that wisdom this year. Okay, so 2025 is going to be very important for all of us to like get energetically healthy so that we can move into 2026 with this newfound fertility. Okay, but it starts now. So it doesn't only mean physical fertility. Collectively, it means an energetic fertility for us, being able to create anew based on what we know. We won't know what we know unless we sit down and we pay attention. Pay attention to what we have learned thus far, what's come up for us, what do we really want to do. This is a great time for circles and conversations, not just with like-minded people either. As somebody who held sister circles for so many years, since 2014 and then consecutively from 2019 into 2024 through my membership community, they're such incredible, like just holding circles for conversation and for healing are such incredible catalysts for change. And I say not just with like-minded folks, because they're so incredible at the way that they help shift mindsets and offer new perspectives. And so if you're somebody who's open to learning, join some sort of a circle or a new membership community, or try a new hobby, talk to somebody new, ask somebody questions that you that know a lot about something that you don't know a lot about, like whatever. Again, Uranus and Gemini, like this is this unpredictable, like I'm open to like change energy in communication type of energy. This is showing up now already, okay, with this, all these reminders and all these messages. But fertility, like the creating fertile ground happens within us, happens within our collective, because of what we do with ourselves first. And in order for the ground within us, like think of ourselves as actual soil, in order for that to be fertile and sustainable for us to grow and cultivate our seeds, we have to weed things out. We have to take out maybe the things that didn't bloom last year or the year before that or the year before that we are maybe pouring water on, that's been dead. And so pay attention to how these completions and endings been started for you. What are you watering that may already be dead? Maybe it's a relationship. For many, it's a something that happened in the past. It does not even exist in your life anymore, but you keep going back to it as a reminder of your pain, and not in a way that's catalyzing you. It's just keeping you in this victimized state. Is something that's really loud right now. Stop doing that in January. Let that be a part of your review and restructuring and strategizing process. What are the things that I'm doing, or the seeds that I'm watering that did not sprout? And what do I have to be okay with? What do I have to be okay with? Because in order for me to be truly fertile, I have to be okay with the things that did not come to life. Because that just means I'm meant to bring other things to life. And they're not going to happen right now. This is also, big reminder that just because you plant the seeds now doesn't mean they're going to sprout now. It could take years. It could take decades, truly. You may be getting an idea now. You may have had an idea decades ago that you just start planting the seed for now. Patience is coming through as a big, big, big key. Patience. Patience, patience, patience. And not just patience with like slow growth, patience with failure also is coming through. I'm getting a vision of like something blooming and dying and blooming and dying and blooming and dying, and somebody just being like, what the fuck? Wah! Just like freaking out, you know? Weird visions coming through today, but patience, please. Things will come through in the way they need to come through for you to learn them and for you to integrate them. Because we each have a very specific lens through which we see life. And when we create something from our fertility, whether we are a sacred artist like myself, whether we are a visual artist, whether we're an artist, period, whether we work with people, whether we have a supportive role in the world, whether we clean the streets or clean the toilets in your local establishment, whether we work at the bank, literally does not matter. We all have a supportive role, and we all are creating energy on a daily basis. Whether we have a job or not, whether we have a location or not. Maybe we don't, maybe we're home. It literally doesn't matter. We are all creating energy. We are all creating energy that intersects with the energy of others in the world. That makes us fertile beings. We are energetically fertile. And also some of us are not, because we're not devoted to our practice. And so lots of reflection prompts came up, and I know this card was a little bit all over the place. So I hope you're taking notes, and I hope if you didn't take notes, watch this over at a different time and take notes. But this card is really asking us to pay attention to, oh, lots of gas bubbles coming up. Sometimes happens in my readings. If we don't feel fertile, why? You're the common denominator there. Maybe you are doing what you're doing, and maybe there's somebody else who's like killing the energy in your life. It happens. It happens. Sometimes it's something or someone that's infecting the energy of your life. Pay attention, okay? This is a big month for that. It's just a month. It's not a month to take action. It's a month to strategize, plan, look, pay attention. That's only going to be possible if you're mentally sharp. So incorporating the rest and the nourishment that you need in order to be mentally sharp. Let's close out this reading. We've been here for a long time, but I'm so grateful that I got through all this information with you. Thank you so much. What an incredible month we have ahead of us. A month of remembering our magic. Remembering who we are, what we're here to do. Sitting down to focus on seeing what has come up for us in the last 8 years. In the last 8 years. Because this is the 9th year. What has come up for us and why and how it's played a part in making us who we are. Because that's going to help us show up as the high priestess, as the magician, as the queens and kings and priests, priestesses in our life. Show up with prime energy. Teach and lead in the ways that only we can, regardless of what it is we're here to do. And knowing that all of that is only going to be possible, our fertility and being able to create fertile ground in order to show up in the world, and also paying attention to what is making us infertile, what is making us not feel creative, is only going to happen through our practice and through devotion. Through devotion for our practice. Through staying devoted and keeping our promises to ourselves. I was going to say myself. Keeping our practices to ourselves. Our promises to ourselves. Oh my God, I'm scrambling the words. Keeping our promises and practices. There we go. Being devoted. I want you to really, let's add this to the mix, because there are several things that we really have to redefine for ourselves. Discomfort, fear, and devotion. Discomfort, fear, and devotion. What do they mean for you? That's going to be especially important all year, but especially now, starting now. And knowing that we don't have to have fear. That we're being called up to the plate because we have what it takes to close these cycles, to shed our identities, to surrender, to trust, because what's coming is so grand. What's coming is what we've been waiting for. What an incredible spread. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this with you. I want you to share in the comments. Do you have your word of intention for 2025? And if not, share it in February's reading. But your word of intention, what kind of energy? Maybe you don't. I don't expect many of you to have this word already. But what kind of energy are you going to be calling in 2025? And what's the one word that you're going to be anchoring yourself into? This is something that can really happen. Like coming to your word can only really happen after you've reviewed and reassessed not just the last year, but again, the last 8 years. I've already done this, or already at least started the process of this. And so my word for 2025 is bloom. Bloom or blossom. I haven't decided yet, but bloom and blossom. Blooming and blossoming in 2025 are going to be my words. My word for 2024 was audacity. And what I can say is that when you choose a word, it'll truly challenge you. And so 2024, I chose the word audacity so that I could show up braver in my life and really make the decisions that I needed to make for my highest and greatest good and the highest and greatest good of all. And it didn't show up in the ways that I thought it would, and instead challenged me to show up for myself, even though I was experiencing really human circumstances and things that felt like they were tearing me apart humanly. I had to show up with spiritual audacity and show up with joy and gratitude either way. And so I'm looking forward to the many ways that I will bloom and blossom, and the many ways that I will be asked to be devoted to blooming and blossoming in 2025. But yeah, if you have a word for 2025, let me know. If not, what was your word for 2024 and how did that show up for you? That's really what I want you to share in the comments. I look forward to reading and responding. So much love. I can't wait to see you again in February for February's energy reading.